Okay. Evidently I must have cracked the code. She came home, everything's great and grand, and then I posted the divorce got dismissed. So I posted that it got dismissed. Just a quick yeah, I think
Yes.
I put the June 14th divorce dismissed, and that's all I put. Ultimately for me, what I realized is I was an Apex man at one point. I am an Apex man out of the house, and I got lazy at home, essentially quoting lines out of those books. And I'm like, huh, interesting. You know,
And you picked up on you
I
picked up
made
on it when
statements.
she was quoting it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, she didn't know she was quoting, but it was almost verbatim. Like one line that really stuck out is like, they want to be led around in the bedroom, or I want to be led around during sex, and
Ah.
that's a big lesson that came out of that. And I, kind of, I guess, not intended to be a triple C conversation or a CLC conversation, but we've had a lot of those after we come back together, and I made statements that, by me going down this, complacent attitude and kind of letting her take the charge, she seeked out, you know, uh, that masculine that she needed, and she went out and you know was more aggressive with their business and more aggressive, on that side of the house. So when she came home, she stayed in that masculine, and I didn't pick up that leadership role at home. I was doing the same thing. You see me in uniform. I'm, big leader at work, and I come home and kind of, not that I wanted to, but just relaxed from that, at a detriment of her relationship. You know what I mean? And I made a statement that, that I was doing that, and she deserves, my leadership, and she deserves me to have input on things, and that I will do that in the future. And she admitted that, you know, and not maybe immediately, but through the conversation, she came back and said things like, I want to come home and not have to be in charge and not be the decision maker, and so on.
What specifically, besides like in the sexual domain, did you do to increase that, apex male and these masculine features?
uh I guess the biggest thing is just having an opinion. you know i've uh, I've struggled to figure out what it was in my childhood that has really affected my relationship now. I didn't really feel like anything did, but um, I think I kind of had an epiphany, and it's that I was more or less rewarded to be complacent and not to care. I was, as long as I can remember, it was always, oh, David doesn't care. That's what's great about David. David doesn't care. And
Mm.
I didn't care. Chicken nuggets or a cheeseburger, I don't care. You know, there's things that I would care about, but not very often. And that doesn't really work. In a relationship, and I do have opinions, so I owe it to her to give them to her.
Masculinity. Can you tell me more about like that childhood stuff? Like, did you do anything to kind of like heal that or like speak to that a bit more?
I just recognized it, and it's not really a big hurdle to overcome because I do it for work. You know what I mean? I, I can't be so good at my job, and I'm my job because I make decisions, right? So I just need to take that home with me and make decisions
Right.
and have opinions on things, even if it doesn't matter. It matters to her, so it ought to matter. Yeah, I want to paint the room blue.
By the way, I didn't ask you. So wait, how long ago did you join the program?
I think it was beginning of March. I should have that date. That's
Okay.
significant, right?
Yeah. So a few
I
months,
talked
and
to,
you stuck it out, right? You stuck it out. Um.
yeah, and her and I have been going in this state since August. And she had uh, a boyfriend, that an affair partner, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we moved past all of that. And here we are. My response was, it was over a phone call. Um, a month previous, I had a near drowning event that caused me to do a lot of reflecting and taking a look at what I was doing in life, like physically and emotionally, how and what my relationships were. So I identified that I needed to make some course corrections, right? Coincidentally, it was probably about a year too late, but here, I'm about to sit her down and tell her I identified these issues in my life and issues within our relationship. This is the path that I want to go on, and that, I hope that you come with me on it, type of thing. And then before that conversation take place, it gets revealed that she's having feelings for somebody else. Absolutely mortified. I don't think there was panic in the beginning. It was just like, a punch to the gut type of thing. Started mulling things over, and I'm like, we've been together for 20 years, married for 13. We're like on a couple days from our anniversary. And I was like, this is a drop in the bucket. I can't allow this to affect everything else that we have. Not just, physically, emotionally, but financially and, everything, right? It's just a drop in a bucket. Obviously I'm missing something here, and, maybe, entertained. I was the guy that was like, well, we can talk about an open relationship, right? And I, flexed the boundary, flexed some morals and values. Um, think I understood it was an infatuation. I didn't really understand what limerence was yet, and I figured I just need time to get my shit in order, and then we'll get back on path. This is gonna die out, right? A couple weeks max.
So
But
that's it. Okay, so David, like I talked to so many guys going through what you went through, and you handled it like I was gonna cuss, but like a champ, right? Like a G. But let me break down some of the things that maybe if a guy was hearing your story that they don't understand that you did correctly. You didn't panic, right? You didn't panic.
right.
Or maybe you did, but I didn't hear the story that you did, right?
I didn't. Not yet. It took a few weeks, but yeah.
Yeah. So it
Yep.
sounds like you took responsibility that okay, like she's with this guy because she doesn't feel, rewarded from being with me. So you didn't have that like hard resentment, doesn't seem like, or at least it's not as strong as like a lot of other guys. So you were able to, but the most important one I'm hearing from you is like, this guy is an escape and it's limerence, which means it's going to fade. And then in that time period, while this is fading, I'm going to become a better man. And so she's going to realize when this guy isn't as great as he actually, I think he is, because he's an escape, she's going to see I am the better option 100 times out of 100. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I made the mistakes too, that, I did I did what I said I did there for probably about 2-3 weeks. And then I started seeing, I came on pretty strong, right? I told you that I needed to make some changes, and then I came on pretty strong, ended up pushing her away, hold on tighter and she gets further away type of thing. Then when I started seeing I was losing my friend, she stopped talking to me about things that we talked about, that we shared interest and stuff. And that's when I panicked. And then things progressively got worse and got to the point of like, we were only talking via email.
Oh, so it got worse. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I did the right thing in the beginning, but because I didn't understand what limerence was, because I didn't understand truly, like, I got that I had to make some changes, but I didn't, right? I didn't understand the whys, right? I didn't understand the masculine, feminine balance. I did, to me, it was, she wanted to get attention a particular way that I wasn't doing it. Okay, well that guy's gonna feed that little bit, and I got her the rest of the way. You know what I mean? And but through me pushing and pushing and pushing her away, and a couple like really bad emotional reactions in there, I went all the way out. So I I have probably all the experiences to draw from. What I don't have is the 13 years of us fighting about something.
As you started to display these apex traits, like what were some of the wins you were getting along the way that led to where you are now?
She was pursuing me.
How
She's
so? What was she doing?
uh, calling, texting,
Uh,
inviting me to, spend time with her.
was
I
it
went
what
to
David?
Lat.
Was it under the guise of like just platonic stuff, or was it like she was showing interest?
It was it. There was always a reason, right? But it was always a bullshit reason. You
Right.
know, I own the house next door to mine, and in that house lives her grandma and grandma's sister. So we saw each other frequently. So space was difficult, but at any rate, she would be over there and be like, "Can you?" Whatever, you asked me to come over and do something, and it was something so trivial. It's, you know what I mean? Like, you just want me to come over.
Yeah, and see a lot of guys like they won't know that because they're so scared and because they listen to the woman's word, their wife's words, when she does
Hmm.
those things and she texts about the most mundane things or has them come over, they're like, well, that can't be when she really wants me for this thing. It's like, no, she could ask someone else. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like,
Right. Right.
and so recognizing that is like actually really important because it builds internal motivation in you that you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah. And I had to work really hard on rebuilding that trust and making her
Yes.
feel safe. And um her affair partner, like a trust fund baby, doesn't know how to do anything. Doesn't, the typical man jobs. So when the car was leaking oil, or when the car this, or when, yeah, I don't remember all the man things that she called me about, but that she was calling me. She could pay somebody to do it. You know what I mean? But she was calling me.
Exactly, exactly. And so I'm sorry, like I know you told me this, my bets, but like what was the biggest when she like stopped the divorce process or like what happened?
Throughout, as I started making changes, she, um, every now and then would talk about, she made comments like, even if I get a divorce, we're always going to be together. We're so intertwined that
Right,
even if we're divorced, we won't be divorced.
right.
And then she started seeing how much of an impact on, the divorce would actually have on things financially and personal relationships and things like that. Um, I was really deliberate, and this is always the advice that I give: is I would not talk about divorce. I hired an attorney, told him to, you know, cover my best interests and delay it as much as I legally can. And then anytime she brought it up, I wouldn't like totally cold shoulder. I'd try to like avoid it or change the topic, or just flat out tell her, I have an attorney, have yours contact mine. I'm not involved in this process.
Okay. So you were able to like just kind of sideswipe it for buy to delay buy time as much as possible. And then she eventually is like, okay, I don't want to get divorced anymore. What she do?
Well, she, the big tipping point was I went to Latvia for 3 weeks, and that kind of
Oh,
gave her
wow.
some reminiscence of, first put distance. It reminded her of like our deployments. Uh, she, started missing me. She even texted me and
Mhm.
said, I'm having feelings about us I'm really confused about. And then
Oh.
I was at that point, I was like, all right. So, and we joke now. I tell her, like, I just wanted to grab you by your arms and shake you and say, this is where we're going to end up. Let's stop wasting time and money, and let's just get to where we're going to be. Oh, she would start asking me to go for walks with her. And we were walking one time, and she's like, how long are you going to tolerate this? And I said, what do you mean? How long are you going to tolerate me doing what I'm doing? Like, before and I'm like, I promised you for life. Again, was the thing. She had already indicated that she wanted to go to our vacation uh, town. We got a camper up there and a house, and she's going to go up there for the week, for Memorial Day weekend with our daughter. And leading up to it, she asked what my plans were for the weekend, and I was like, I don't know, the new dynamic and everything. I've been really busy with work. I haven't given it much thought. And with the new dynamic of our relationship, I'm not really sure. what I'm doing. And she's like, well, what do you want? And she asked that knowing full well what I want, So I told her, I said, I want our normal family vacation. I want us all together. I want us to be, at the trailer on the boat if the weather cooperates, and she responded with, well, the weather looks like it's going to be fantastic this weekend. Why don't you come up? And she says that, you can stay in the house. I'll stay in the trailer, and, we'll, we'll go from there. I said, well, I appreciate the invite. I'll let you know.
Okay.
And that just like blew her mind. She's like, what do you mean you'll let me know? And I said, honestly, I don't know that I'm interested in going up there and then explaining to people why you're in the trailer and I'm in the house, because nobody really knew that we were getting a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, who are you gonna have to I don't, our friends, our friends that we hang out with, our neighbors, I don't know that I want to have those conversations. I don't want to be a divorce. I want people to talk to me about, wow, man, you lost a lot of weight, or wow, what's going on with work? Not,
Right.
how's the divorce going? She circled around and was like, so have you thought about it? Are you going to come up? And I was like, yeah, I think that I'll go and we'll figure it out. And I wanted to be spiteful and emotional about it and be like, fuck you. If you can't agree to me staying in the trailer with you, then I'm not going to go. You know what I mean? But my, I held that to myself and realized that I knew full well once we got up there and we got in our routine that, we would end up at least in the trailer together, not in the bed together,
Right.
and the first day, that's what it was. We were on a walk and she's like, well, I was thinking that, maybe just stay in the trailer tonight, and I'll sleep on the couch. We got to pull out the couch that we watch TV on, and then we'll transfer to the bed. But if she passes out, she'll stay on the couch.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, "Well, you can sleep in the bed. I'll sleep on the couch. It's typically what happens anyway." So uh, I was like, "All right, here we go." Did that, and then the following day, we she became more drawn to me, incidental touchings, her body language towards me,
Right.
a lot of we statements, a lot of future planning statements together. I started knowing that also, or realizing that through, the past couple months as I started transitioning, I started seeing those little tells. Um, but then she broke down on the boat when I said a series of things. I don't remember what, but basically, um, reassuring her that there was a safe space for her to get over what she did and that I would love her through it and we'll be better, you know, because of it, you know. And then she broke it down in tears and said that she wanted to be my wife and make me lunch and dinner.